Buying your first car is exciting. You save your money, you start checking different options, you ask friends for recommendations, you visit bonds, and eventually you find the car you want. Maybe you have 20 million, maybe 30, maybe 40. You negotiate. You pay, you receive the keys, and finally you say, I have bought my car. But there is something many first-time car owners discover a little later. Buying a car may actually be the easiest part of owning a car. Because the day you pay for the car, one expense ends, the purchase. But another journey begins. You have to fuel it. You have to service it, repair it, insure it, replace tires, pay for parking, wash it. Generally, you have to keep it on the road. And this is where some people become disappointed because not necessarily, but sometimes they simply are unprepared. They are unprepared financially to buy and own a car. They are prepared to buy a car, but they're not prepared financially to own a car. So before you buy your first car, let's talk about the real cost of owning a car in Uganda. Actually, the real cost of owning a used car, because Japanese used, locally used, Zonaziba used. One, you don't need to spend your entire budget buying a car. What do I mean? Let's imagine you have 25, 30 million shillings. You find a car exactly 30 million shillings. You negotiate, the seller refuses to reduce, and you buy the car. So you pay the entire 35 million shillings. Now you have a car. Ojirina. And almost no money. I've seen people get into these positions. That's where I would be careful. Because even if you have bought a very good used car, there are many expenses that may come immediately after the purchase. You need to establish the service history of the car. Kale, tugambe, you need to establish your own service history by changing all the things that require changing. You may need to change the oil, the brake pads, air cleaner, cabin air filter, maybe 2 tires, maybe 4 tires. There may be also small repairs that you knew about or figured out after driving. This is why I don't like to think of the entire available amount as the purchase budget. You get? So if you have 20 million shillings available for the whole process, buying a 20 million car leaves you no breathing room. And this becomes even more important when you're buying older, cheaper cars. If you buy an 8 million shilling car, I've told you time and again, put 2 million on the side. I mean, you shouldn't expect it suddenly becoming a new car because the ownership has changed. It may need work. The important thing is knowing what work it needs and how much that work will cost you. So when you're negotiating, don't ask how much is the car. Ask how much will it cost me by the time I have put it in the condition I want, because because after you have serviced it and handled those small repairs, another expense will come in. Expense it's fuel, because you have to drive the car. Most of us, we drive the car every day. Fuel becomes a real nightmare if you are not prepared for it. Before you buy a car, people talk about fuel consumption very casually. That one doesn't consume. Yeah? That one is fuel friendly. Then you buy it. You put 50,000, you drive around town, go with them. Yeah? It becomes no longer an internet discussion. Internet, dear Arthur, which car is fuel efficient? Now you have it. It is your money. Now, engine size matters when discussing consumption, but it is not the only factor. The weight of the vehicle matters. The mechanical condition matters. The traffic you drive in every day matters. The tire pressure can actually matter. Yeah, I normally say the driving style and your daily distance matters. But there is another cost first-time owners sometimes don't anticipate. And you realize that everyone that has bought a car, you realize that you may start traveling more simply because now you own a car. Notandika okutambula, simanya senga wange ow'egindi, kojja wange ow'enankani, Uganda wange ali gundi, kazini wange agira. Before owning a car, someone calls you. Can you pass by? And you say, you calculate border money, taxi, simanya abapeva, you never know whether nja kujja. But once you own a car, no problem. I'm coming. Kasaba kugamba bibuba lusewa mero kazimu abantu bazitanga luba lusewa. You leave home to go to Ntinda. Someone calls you Bukoto, you go. Then you remember something in town needs to be bought, you go. Since you're already driving a car, rush city now. By the time you return home, the car has covered a distance that you were not originally planning, and distance means fuel. And you see, that convenience is one of the reasons why we buy cars. But convenience saves. Convenience doesn't. Convenience consumes fuel. Convenience consumes fuel. So don't simply ask whether a particular car is considered fuel efficient. Ask yourself, how much driving am I actually going to do? And can my income comfortably support the movement? Because fuel is going to be one of your regular expenses. But, and you know, even if you can comfortably fuel the car, there is another amount you need to start budgeting for. The money that keeps the car healthy. Maintenance doesn't mean something has gone wrong. Maintenance, chibanga gwobozuka kumacha nogenda mu gym, you're maintaining your body. And this is where some car owners get frustrated. You buy a car, 3 months later, you're spending money on it. 6 months later, you're spending money on it. And then you start, this car is eating my money. But we need to separate maintenance from repair. Engine oil eventually needs to be changed. Filters need to get replaced. Spark plugs, tires wear. Suspension component, rubber boot. The moroka ngina kajitekamu bazita watazi CV joint bid. Neyo kubidi emekesi. Atezi meketanya mu season y'enkuba atenga mu season y'enkuba n'owavu babungi. Batteries. Battery y'emmotoka kaddiwa. And I've told people with whom we buy cars from the board, nenkamba battery yo gibakwadde mu board. Oyinza n'ogivuga nefa next week. Era wefa next week sagala take a send a battery. Because me I know. And depending on the vehicle and the service schedule, there are transmission fluids, coolant, izopuraga, brake fluid, and other maintenance items that you might want to think about. They are part of using the machine. They are not necessarily a sign that you bought a bad car. The problem comes when someone buys a car and their regular income cannot maintain. Maintain. The keyword is maintain. Your regular income cannot maintain the car. You managed to raise 30 million to buy the car, but now the correct service seems expensive. Volvo. Unique price, the expenses unique. Some tires are expensive. The recommended parts those parts are expensive. And then you'll start saying it you can next month, a small suspension noise, kakula. The tires never jikwata. Jiwedeko noyongera novuga ba traffic button kukwata. Bakubiye papula ya DMC. Service ojonge ndo tuyagala kujikola. Oro emoroka oira akadde yingi netandise okweri ebyuma. Maybe sometimes the bigger problem is that the purchase price fitted the owner's pocket, while the ownership cost did not. And even if you maintain the car perfectly, there is one thing you still need to accept. Sometimes the car will break down. Emoroko jirabe egenda kufa olaba bantu bebafa ngato omuntu yesayidawo kikyalya kikyanywa wawabeera which energies they take in. Cars are machines. You need to be ready for some repair, maintenance, unplanned expenses. Cars are machines, and machines can develop faults. Zirwala. Especially as they get older. You can service a car properly and you still wake up one day, the battery is dead. Yes. Your AC can develop a fault in a wheel bearing hub. Try to someone. The hub can just start making a noise. The coolant hose can start leaking. The expenses don't normally send an appointment. So you just need to keep that money aside. They simply arrive. And this is why I think every car owner needs some financial breathing room for repairs. Like I said, your financial plan should not assume that nothing will ever go wrong. And this is especially important because delaying a repair sometimes make the eventual bill bigger. You notice there is a coolant leak, but continue topping up. I had someone saying that. You hear a suspension squeak, but you continue driving. You see a tire wearing badly, you don't investigate why. You think, eventually what started as a manageable problem can affect other components or leave you stranded. And being stranded introduces other hidden costs. Break it down. The car is at the garage, but your life has not stopped. You still have to go to work. Children need to go to school. Madam needs to go to the saloon. You still have meetings. So now you're paying for repairs and alternative transport. Don't sulk, don't say it is a machine, it's going to die. Which brings us to something important when choosing a car. You get, when choosing a car, let's just say in the first place, not every car that you can afford to buy necessarily means that you can afford to own. Because two cars can be in the same price range, but they can have completely different ownership costs. Whatever. Let's suppose you have two cars. Both cars cost 25 million. You see, the Volvo V40 and the Toyota Fielder will both cost 38 to 40 million shillings right now. That does not mean they'll cost the same amount to own. The Fielder has very common parts which are very affordable. The technicians, mechanic, but the V40, the Volvo, it's a V40, correct me if I'm wrong, it has more expensive parts, very rare to find. The mechanics are few, they are expensive. Altogether, you purchase them same price, 40 million shillings, different life after purchase. And this becomes specifically interesting when you're looking at older cars. Olimugula Nissan Fuga 2002 model. Nogula Mark X 2002 model. Okuona abona kuba kwa njawulo. Because these are both luxury cars in our perspective. Mark X luxury, Fuga luxury. Depreciation can bring the price down. Okitegera. Gwe badamu E-class pricing seconds million 15 kubetuukayo. Kati saawe yo E-class ne Mercedes ne Mark X ziri mu beeyi yemu. Naye okumaintain nga tekugenda kuba kwe kuba makanika tebagenda kuba beebamu. You see the advert and say, Benz eno ya mmeka 15, and you become excited. And you need to remember the car is depreciated. The maintenance requirements haven't necessarily depreciated with it. The tires, tebimanyi ebyo. Ebyuma bya wansi, gearbox ya Benz, tebimanyi ebyo. Suspension, tebimanyi ebyo. So instead of asking yourself, can I afford this car? You need to be asking yourself, can I afford to live with this car? How much fuel will it require if I'm using it daily? What does normal service cost? Omusajja namukobera jero nangamba atha nalive ye Rwanda. Burechi nezifa. Nenonye Kampala nga ndaba beyiya. Nengena mu garage yamanyi ne banja ke million 12 n'emitwala 3. Kombinazo. You get it? So you need to understand, are the parts available? Who understands the car? Who will repair it? If something goes wrong, what kind of bill could I reasonably face? This is how you compare cars properly. And once you understand the major expenses, there is one final category that quietly takes your money. Small things. Small things. You see, when the small costs add up, and some of them are your faults. Whatever parking ya multiplex ye Kampala. Buli wotinya parking ruba no soro 10. bw'otabisasula zifuuka 2. Kati imagine bw'otasasula parking emirundi 10 ogwaladde omutwalo gibeera 2, egy'ebiri bakkuba ekyuma kyena. Whose fault is it? Parking. Tugende mu kwoza. Emmoroka buli bw'otagyoza ettaka lyeyongera. Onooba oliawo kati nga tokyetaaga kwoza bwoza, weetaaga bakiyita detailing. Detailing wa bbeeyi. Security. Buli wogaana oteeka alamu mu mmoroka yo ne babbako ettaala lyana alamu ya 15. Yange ya ata ya 21. Oga ata aseera mitwalo 21 ng'ogenda nga babbako eryanda mitwalo 45. You get normal administrative and statutory requirements applicable to your vehicle and use. Ovuga probox, ogivugiramu migaati, government egamba osasula musolo ki? Gutogusasudde ovuga buvuzi. Bwe bakwata nga bakuba ekipapula, bwe bakwata probox nga bagiparkinga ku poliisi. Okitegeera? Individually, some of these things don't feel significant, but bwe bugenda nga bupayiringa mpola 2000 wali, 1500 wali, ogenda okwesanga emmotoka ekutamya abataxi we baabeeranga. Tasobola parking, agenda okakana nga parking bamanye milioni 7, epapula bamanye milioni 12. You guys have seen. Tugula taxi wano Kigege ng'eriko epapula ya milioni 12. Na agenda okwesanga emmotoka emusaze lwekyo. You buy the car on Monday, Tuesday you need an Android screen. They are your fault. There is a man nambanyumiza twagula naye maka twagigula layisi. Tanatandika kanika nagula seat cover za mitwalo 8 nakola obwokunzigi kuno nakyusa amatanda kakafuta market emoro kuba yamukyamukako ne bagikola bwe yamala okukyamuka na Arthur makanika wo mu Beyonce jake milioni 5 nga twakagula emoroka nenkulira makanika nga tuli awo waayo omusajja amujjako milioni 5 nti nedda omusajja otwaye twakagula emoroka n'atumya amatala ga after market n'aleeta abakola emito n'ateekamu 3D carpet n'ateekamu Android n'ateekamu woofer ebyo byonna yabibala kunze nze yampa emitwalo 8. Your fault. Okitegeera kuwenzi notandika rim ntono, I need bigger rims. Ebyo byonna those are your faults. Togenda kutandika biblaminga ku mmoroka. Kati olugira kati nti bakankolere. Onaagira njagala akamenya endabirwamu automatically. The car hasn't even had the time to know your name and you're already renovating. Those are your faults. There is nothing wrong with personalizing your car. Enjoy it. It's your car. You see, this is part of ownership. But prioritize. I keep telling you guys, nabagamba nalimba wa rule. Emoroka bw'ogigula mara emyezi 3 nga tokoze modification yonna. Ng'ovuga buvuzi 3 months just drive. Temuwulira. Emoroka lw'ogigula lwennyini ng'ogenda we batunda malidaadi yeno oyagala mumala mu dduuka. The next week, it doesn't make sense why you bought those things. I think first-time car owners should do a simple exercise. Start with the purchase price. Then add service costs annually. Then add any repairs already identified because what repairs olabirawo ng'ogula. Consider third party or comprehensive. Look at the tires. Estimate your normal monthly fuel use because it's important. Understand the normal maintenance requirements of that particular model because and of course keep something available. Kubanga repairs zijja kujja bijja gwa. A 10 million shilling old Toyota and a much newer vehicle don't represent the same risk. A common model and an uncommon luxury vehicle are not the same. They will not give you the same ownership experience. So calculate according to the actual car you are buying. And if buying a car requires spending every single shilling you have, you may need to consider slightly cheaper option. Vayo, kakana. Because the goal isn't simply to own a car. The goal is to own a car that you can actually use and maintain comfortably. You need to be there and ask yourself, what's the real cost of owning this car that I'm buying in Uganda? It starts with buying price, then comes to fuel, then comes to maintenance, tires, rims, unexpected repairs, the third party, police, parking, cleaning, and all those small expenses that don't look serious until you add them together. This isn't meant to discourage any of you guys. Buy your cars. I am trying to encourage you to buy the cars that will give you convenience, privacy, mobility, that can support your families, business at work. You get, don't only look at the 15, 20, 30 million shillings you need to get the keys. Look at the months and years that come after that, because the purchase happens, it happens once. Ownership happens every day. And sometimes the easiest part of owning a car is actually buying one. Tell us in the comment section, what do you think first-time car owners underestimate before they buy a car? And what do you think is the actual cost of owning a car in Uganda? I'd like to remind you that 5th September is going to be the Love for Cars convention. Tickets are costing only 30,000 shillings. Call the number 0760 045 116 to book your ticket. Until next time, ciao.